Welcome back to your Tech and Scientific Wednesday right here on EKSE Live. If you have just joined us, then you are right in time because the conversation is getting started. Although you did miss out on an amazing interview with Umondi, but we're not talking about us join us later on the show. Over much, we want to focus our conversation around nanotechnology. Now, if you do not know what nanotechnology is, it is one of the 25 technologies that are driving the fourth industrial revolution. And I'm EKSE, we want to look at 7 amazing examples of how nanotechnology is used in nowadays to transform everyday items.
Yes, it's quite amazing because you get to find where technology has driven and where it has moved in technology and in South Africa and the whole world as a whole. First one would be sunscreens. Sunscreens that are nanoparticles sunscreens. Are sunscreens that are created in a lab, ground down into fine particles, zinc oxide and titanium oxide. And these are synthetic ingredients that are added on everyday sunscreen products as they are highly UV light absorbent. Do you understand anything when it comes to that?
You know what? I apply sunscreen, I think, once in every blue moon. Can't even know, you know
5,000 years later.
No, listen.
Yes.
It degrees, like we have like 35, 40 degrees. That's when I feel like, okay, I can feel the rush on my sunscreen. But for me personally, I'm not sure if how other people, how sunscreens treat them. I feel like the sunscreens make me darker. But what you've just read now about them feeling lighter and they really absorb into your skin. Like when you apply sunscreen, you don't feel anything heavy on your skin. So I think that's great.
Oh, okay. I think it has differed because some of the sunscreens now are no longer that pure white substance. Some of them are like gel-like.
Yeah.
So
it is here, they make you blue even when you go to the And of course, our next example is clothing. Now you do know with magnetic wool and the beads of rain that are boiling down and rolling off a windbreaker and surprisingly stink resistant of weeks old athleisure way piled up in a corner of your bedroom can all be credited to nanofibers or nanotechnology adapted to clothing. And what I'm understanding from this is that some of the particles that are used, you know, nanoparticles that are used, they help actually, they are stink resistant. So it means if you wear a clothing item that is sprayed with the nanoparticles, then you can just leave it at the corner of your room for a few weeks and it won't stink up your room. I'm not saying that you guys must do that, but I'm just giving you some of the advantages that fibers and nanotechnology is bringing to impahla.
Which brings us to number 3, when it comes to sport equipment, nanotechnology gets into the game with the carbon nanocube, silicon nanoparticles, and nanoclays, and fluorals that improve the performance of athletes and their equipment. So these are the things that have to do with the increasing strength, the durability, and the stiffness, especially when it comes to athletes. So I think with these, for example, golfers, people that play golf or swimmers and stuff like that, and skaters, so you get to find that there's some sort of, it's like a protection against whatever that they are doing, because you get to find we strain to sometimes when you're doing certain activities, but it's nice to actually find that there's certain things that are designed to counteract as whatever that we go through, especially when it comes to sports and other stuff.
And I think when I'm an athlete,
we can
I can imagine, okay, it's fine. I can imagine as an athlete, when you're busy on the field, you need something that's going to feel light on your body. You know, if you're going to wear something that's going to be weighing you down, it also affects the performance. So shout out to nanotechnology for making sure it's also catering for our athletes. And of course, the next one we have is automobile. These are cars, e-motor. The main advantage of applying nanotechnology in automobiles include providing a lighter and stronger body parts, and it enhances rather the safety and the fuel efficiency. Now we know a lot of people have been complaining about fuel prices for the longest of time up in South Africa. So I think technology, in some type of way, it is helping making a standard of living much more cost effective up in South Africa, and also consumption as well. There are a lot of cars that take up so much fuel that the price you think that was cheaper back in the days, like 10 times more now. So having e-motor that absorb much more less, I think is going to be very much beneficial.
Speaking about the consumption, also we are talking about the food. When it comes to food, in the field of nanobiotic sensors, it could be used to detect the presence of pathogens in the food, and nanocomposites. This English is over the moon, but these are it's used to actually detect that, especially when it comes to food production, increasing mechanical and thermal resistance, especially decreasing the oxygen transfer from the packaging products, because there's so much that happens, especially when it comes to food. So it tends to apply some sort of like a protection, because people can easily get infected. There's so many things that happen, especially when it comes to food packaging and stuff like that. So it's actually nice to actually see that it's not only focusing on one thing, but there's so many things that it's helping out. And the reason why maybe we're safe and not being sick is because of nanotechnology.
And it's also the sustainability for me, you know, being able to make impilo zabantu much more easy. I think that is a highlight for me. And next up we have medicine. So the properties of some nanomaterials make it ideal for improving early diagnosis and treatment of nanodegenerative diseases or even e-cancer. We know that, you know, we have many cases of people that are diagnosed with e-cancer, and, you know, being able to use this technology to help improve, you know, treatment, I think is very great. And also, I was watching ESOP, which I didn't know, but treatment such as like chemotherapy can be very painful to the body. So having, you know, treatment or technology that helps improve that, I think for me, that definitely is a highlight from Yonke Dubesifuna Namhlanje.
I think the highlight here is everything that we've learned, because there's some things that I really didn't know of, but now you get to understand that when certain things are happening, when I'm seeing athletes, I'll look at them in a different eye, because now I get to understand more, especially when it comes to nanotechnology. So I hope that South Africa takes this and makes something out of it. But before sitting in nanotechnology, let's check out Kiza on the other side about Bizikayeng.